My name is Dwayne Laughlin. This is another one of our YouTube videos. Thank you for tuning in to watch. I am an illusionist, and I do not mind saying, confessing, admitting, whatever you want to call it, that there are tricks to my trade. I don't have any secret powers. I'm not involved with anything spooky. Everything I do is something that I had to learn and study. When I first began to do these things that illusionists do, I was fascinated with the idea of doing rope tricks. So I went to the local hardware store and I bought myself a long length of rope and made up my mind I was going to learn to do some tricks with this rope. I got a lot of rope because I planned to do a lot of tricks with it. One of the first tricks I learned to do, at least I thought was a pretty good trick, is called the one-hand knot. You take your rope in your hands like this, give it a pull, and the next thing you know, you've tied a knot in it. Quite mysterious. How did he tie that knot? Well, I liked tying this one-hand knot so well, I learned to tie another. In fact, I got to the point where I was always tying these one-hand knots and hoping people would be as impressed with these one-hand knots as I was. I would tie them again and yet again. Lots of one-hand knots. In fact, soon I had my length of rope in a big long chain of knots. This seemed like a good thing to me, but someone said, you know, Dwayne, that doesn't really make you an illusionist because there are other people who tie knots, unique knots. For example, sailors and fishermen probably can tie better knots than you do. Well, I thought about that and I realized then I'd better do something more interesting with this rope. So eventually I learned how to take my chain of rope and, quite mysteriously, turn it into 2 chains of rope. I thought that was rather impressive. In fact, I thought it might cause audiences to smile, laugh, clap, and cheer. But it didn't quite get the reaction I expected. It seemed to me to be a good trick, but somehow people were not quite as impressed as I hoped they would be. So I then learned how to take that long, one of the shorter chains of rope I should say, and of that shorter chain of rope, turn it into 3 separate loops of rope. I was sure audiences would be wildly excited about this. It generated some excitement, but yet I needed to know how to do more. So I worked at taking the loops of rope and making it appear like sometimes they were connected and sometimes they were not. To create the mystery in front of the audience, do I have 1, 2, 3 separate circles of rope, or could it be that I actually have 1 chain of rope? Well, eventually I reached the point where I could take that thing, which all began with what you saw, a long length of rope, and I would end up with 1, 2, 3, watch carefully, and then 4, 5, 6 separate circles. Well, I said to myself, I sure hope audiences are excited about this as I am, because I think it's a pretty good trick. So that's a new idea. I call it knotted linking ropes. It's a combination of several things that have been around for a long time, but I put the 2 together in my own way. It's a brand new routine, something that I just came up with. I hope you did enjoy watching it as much as I enjoyed presenting it for the camera.